Some thoughts for you to reflect on. What type of group shall I be leading? What type of group am I going to lead? Look at these are all, you can read them yourselves, examples of groups that I might lead. Have a look at them. By the way, I will make this PowerPoint available to everybody. You don't have to take notes or something like that. And please use it. You are free to use it in your countries and with your groups. Go ahead and use it. I'll put the PowerPoint, the actual PowerPoint, not a PDF, so that you can use it directly. This is an essential to-do list for all leaders. Clarify your vision. I will repeat this 1,000,000 times. Unless you have a good vision to be your constant guide, unless you know where you want to, what you want to achieve, and you have thought about it properly, and you know where you want to go, you will never move anywhere. Your path in life will be down, up, down, and up, unless you have a vision there, and it's in front of you every day, every waking moment, sometimes I used to say, okay, whenever I had time, you will not achieve it. Because achieving vision requires thinking. And it requires quality thinking time. You need to devise strategies to overcome difficult obstacles. And that requires thinking. Decide on the style of leadership to adopt. You look at your group and you check, is a democratic type of leadership? Is it the best type of, to be as democratic as possible? Hopefully it will be like this. But it will never be totally like that unless you're extremely lucky. Okay, I've had many teams that I had to learn in my life. I've never been this lucky to have somebody who a group who are all motivated, benevolent, and nice. And you always seem to find one or two who create problems. It's part of life. Okay, just accept it. Have a deep personal commitment. You need to have a deep personal commitment on what you want to do. A commitment towards your vision. If you're not ready to make the deep personal commitment, then move out of the way. And let somebody else take over. Remember, medical physics is serious business. There are the patient's well-being at stake. I believe a lot that without good, because I've seen this all over Europe and wherever I've been in the world, you go to a hospital where there's a good, strong medical physics department, and it's fantastic. Okay, patients are really, the quality of the images are fantastic. Okay, not misdiagnosis, left, right, and center. The quality of the therapy is fantastic. Okay, the treatment is unbelievable. Then you go to another where the medical physics department is either weak or non-existing, and poor patients. Poor patients. So medical physics leadership is serious business, please. If you're not willing to make the sacrifice, move out. It's not fair on patients. It's not fair on your colleagues. It's not fair on patients. Conduct an honest self-analysis of your personal strengths and weaknesses. Look, say to yourself, what do I need to change about myself to become successful in leadership? We need to change. Don't expect of yourself to change quickly. It doesn't happen. You need to change slowly. But you need to change. Conduct an honest audit of the strengths and weaknesses of your team. Not just yourself, even your team. Scan the environment for opportunities to be able to improve your strengths and eliminate weaknesses and threats. Pay very careful attention to the threats. Avoid paying attention to the threats and you're in deep trouble. Set specific strategic objectives which are doable and develop a realistic strategic plan for achieving those objectives. And finally, work at it till the vision is achieved. We never achieve 100% of what we like to do, but aim high, celebrate the ups. So when things are going well and something is achieved, get your team together, go out for a pizza and celebrate. When it's a down, Get your team together, say, hey, we have a problem. How are we going to solve it? Accept those problems so that you can solve them. Finally, prepare the next generation. It's important that you prepare the next leaders. Take some of the members of your group who you see have leadership qualities and make sure that you help them to become good leaders. None of us is eternal. You might move to another job somewhere and leave the group, or some sickness might happen to you or to your family, and you might need to leave. You want to be certain that the work that you have done will be taken over by others and continue. It's a very important process. Leadership is a personal journey, because what will be achieved during your leadership will depend on your own personal and professional history, your own personality, your level of commitment, and your attitudes. The personality, level of commitment, attitudes of those you would be leading. The circumstances you find yourself in. History showers many leadership opportunities that you will see now. There will be many opportunities for leadership, and sometimes the unexpected also. However, notwithstanding the challenges, we are willing to work hard, grasp opportunities, dive into it. You can actually achieve a lot. The attitude for success is, I have one life. I want to do something worthwhile with it, something to be able to look back to with pride. As we come to my old age, me and Kwan, professoring, we're at that age now when we look back at our lives, okay? What makes us happy now in this part of our lives, as we face the end of our life, is being able to look back and saying, okay, we did something. We're leaving this life now, but we did something. We're leaving the world better than we left it. Look at what Steve Jobs says. If you want to make everyone happy, don't be a leader, sell ice cream. Okay, there's a very, very famous quotation of Steve Jobs. Even Steve Jobs, look how successful he was in Apple, setting up Apple and Mac and everything. Okay, he had big problems of leadership. Okay, but this is it. It's part of life. If you want everybody to be happy with you, just go and sell ice cream. Everybody will be happy with unless you sell bad ice cream or it's too expensive. Everybody will be happy with you. But if you want to be a leader, you're going to accept that there are going to be times where your people really love what you're doing and respect you and admire you for what you have achieved, and others will not do that. In fact, some of them will not like you because you are successful. It's part of life. It's accepted and move forward. Preparing oneself for leadership. How do you prepare yourself for leadership? The first one is what all of you are doing. Enter a national, international mentoring program. This is what Professor Eng has done, Kwan has done, and you should be thankful for what he has done for you for this. And I'm really pleased that he's doing this, because it's really necessary. And one of it is make sure that you stick to this program. Secondly, read about leadership. I've just published this book. It's the first book on leadership and challenges in medical physics, and specifically for medical physicists. Okay, you can buy it directly there, and you can even get it on Amazon if you want. I'm sorry, it's a bit expensive, but this is outside my control. Not super expensive, but I mean, it's not something that many of you should be able to afford it. But unless you prepare yourself for leadership, you won't move forward. And I wrote this book because I didn't want you the younger generation to pass through the tribulations that people like me and Kwan had to pass through. If you read this book, many of the problems that you have, you recognize that they are there. Okay, you're not the only one having problems in this world. We passed through it, and we moved forward, and we achieved a lot of things. Attend the formal accredited leadership course. I set up the first leadership in medical physics course in the world. It's done in Europe, and you have information about it here. There will be another one. I'm giving you the dates here. First of all, these are past participants from the course. Look, it was set up in Europe by EU money, because even the EU realized how important leadership is for medical physicists. But we have people from all over the world now. I mean, and I'm hoping that people from other countries, not in Europe, come to this course and then set up a similar course, and I'll be ready to help them to set up in their own countries or in their own region. My dream is that there should be another course like this in every region in the world, because it's really, really important. The next one is targeted to February 2022. It was targeted to next year, but because of this COVID situation, I have tried, but it would be impossible. People will not come because of the problems that are involved. So I'm avoiding doing it next year, but I'm telling you that in February 2022 it will be there. And I'm telling you also for another development about it, because up to this time it was being done for diagnostic and interventional radiology physicists, but from that year I'm going to open it to everybody, because I've had a lot of people from oncology and from nuclear medicine wanting to participate, and unfortunately no leadership course has been set up for them, so I'm opening it up to everybody and adapting it so that it will be suitable for everybody. So in 2022, guys. If you want me, please, if you might be interested, send me an email on this email address, and I'll put you down on the mailing list. It's not simply so that when the course is going to open and things like that, I'll send you an email so that you can think about whether you want to participate or not. It's important to be on the mailing list. Finally, I would like to do a case study on myself personally. This is a different case study. It's a personal strategic plan. Each one of you, and I'm doing this specifically for you guys, each one of you needs to set up now, not just a strategic plan for their team or whatever, but also a personal strategic plan for yourselves. Where would you as an individual like to be in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time? Where would you like to be? And you need to set up a strategic plan for that with a SWOT analysis. Where would you like? What is your vision for yourself? Where are you now? What are your strengths and weaknesses? What are the opportunities and threats to you be able to achieve that vision and work towards achieving that vision? So strategic planning isn't just for teams, it's also for individuals. And this is for you. I did this specifically for you. I'm going to give you my personal history. My vision for myself, this is the vision that I had 35 years ago, to be the founder of the profession in Malta. Malta is a small island in the Mediterranean. Believe it or not, it's only about 30 kilometers long with about 20 kilometers wide. Can you imagine this? Okay, many of you come from Brazil, enormous country, bigger than the whole of Europe. I come from a small island, very nice island, in the middle of the Mediterranean. It's not even on the continent, in the middle of the Mediterranean. Nothing around except sea, okay? 30 kilometers long by about 20 kilometers wide. That's all it is. In fact, it's even smaller than that, okay? But I wanted to, the medical physics profession didn't exist. Nobody knew about it. I was the only one who did a course in the UK. And I wanted to be recognized as an international leader in at least one aspect of medical physics. So this is the vision. I wanted to found the profession in Malta and also to be recognized as an international leader in one aspect of medical physics. I didn't know what this aspect was going to be, but at least one aspect. Gap analysis. I was an unknown at the time. Nobody knew about me in the world. In Malta, I was on my own. I was a medical physicist from a minuscule island in the Mediterranean. No colleagues Profession totally unknown nationally. Everybody knew what nurses are, doctors, radiographers, physiotherapists, medical physics. What's that? It was one hell of a gap, I tell you. It was crazy. Huh? My strengths and weaknesses. My strengths, I used to see myself as an intelligent guy. I always say if you have made it through physics and maths, you can make it through anywhere. I was a good scientific thinker and I had good research skills. I had very good communication and educational skills. Excellent skills for teaching physics to both physicists and non-physicists. My weaknesses, on my own. I was on my own. Profession does not exist. No team to help me achieve the vision. Small island. I had neither equipment nor funds. The equipment, whilst in Europe it was going totally digital, I was still in film, screen films. We had only one CT scanner, which was falling apart. No MRI, nothing. No PhD yet. I didn't have a PhD yet. And overloaded with teaching healthcare professions. I was teaching 17 hours per week to radiographers, nurses, physiotherapists, etc. No possibility, and family duties. I had a young family, 2 children. No possibility to do PhD in Malta because no supervisors existed. I couldn't just leave Malta for 3 years to do the PhD somewhere else. Okay? Because if I left Malta, I would come back with a bigger disaster than I leave. Especially some people who are trying to damage the profession here. I would have left them for 3 years to damage it. Opportunities. The EU was giving a lot of importance to education and training and radiation protection for medical physics experts and healthcare professions. So the EU was providing a lot of money. I was realizing that. The EU was fed up with the education and radiation protection for medical physicists and that profession, and they were starting to put out money. And this was an opportunity. Education and training and strategic planning for the medical physics profession at the European level, very low or non-existent. Nothing was being done in Europe about leadership, about strategic planning. Nothing was being done. Not just in Europe, nowhere. There were legal developments in the EU regarding radiation protection which could strengthen the profession if physicists engage. So there were legal developments in the EU. The EU was producing legislation, but physicists were not engaging. Threats, a handful of persons from another profession were trying to stop the medical physics profession from taking off in Malta. So these were the strengths and weaknesses that I had. This was my SWOT analysis. These were the opportunities and threats. And this was the biggest opportunity I felt. This and this. Nobody was doing it in Europe. Education and training and strategic planning and leadership. Nobody was doing it. Strategies, learn about leadership, strategic planning, carrying out literature review about its use in professional development, education, and training. I said, look, these are the key opportunities. I have to go into these. Other medical physicists in Europe weren't ready to go into this. For me, that was a better opportunity because if other people are not going to do it, I'm going to do it myself. Okay? And what is important for me was this. This needed no equipment. It didn't need millions of euros of equipment. All it required was my brain, a computer, and the internet. That was the opportunity. That was the strategy had to go where the opportunities lay. I started encouraging physicists to join the profession. I set up the National Medical Physics Association. We were only 4 members. Make it a member of the European Federation. Get myself in EFOM committees to start getting myself known at the European level. And I started volunteering for any tasks in the European Federation that needed to be done. Especially since I came from a small island, I went to education and training because nobody wanted to do them. Everybody was ready to do radiation protection, diagnostic, radiology, or oncology. Nobody cared about education and training. For me, that was an opportunity. They don't want to do it. The EU wants us to do it. I am going to do it. If I wanted to become a world leader in something, I had to find an area which I could do on my own, required nothing except my brain and the computer. I could get a PhD without having to be away from Malta for long periods. I couldn't get away. I had 17 hours per week of lectures here in the family. Something which I was already good at, and so that I can move into it quickly. Opportunity at the European Federation, nobody was really taking education, training, and leadership developing seriously. Fill in that niche. That's a niche that needed to be filled. The European Union wanted to be filled and nobody else was ready to do it. I did it. I had to do a PhD. I had a big problem. I found a lot of opportunities to do PhD in radiation protection, diagnostic, oncology, etc. But the problem is I didn't have the time. I wanted to set up the profession in Malta, so I had to study about leadership. I had to develop the education and training curricula for medical physicists in Europe. I had to 17 hours of lectures per week, do the medical, set up the profession in Malta. How can I do also a lot of not being able to go away from Malta? How can I do the regular scientific work, okay, when I didn't even have the equipment? And I had a big problem that I wanted to do something like this. Look, I wanted to do a PhD title with this type of title. A strategic development model for the educator role of the biomedical physics engineering academic and faculties of health science in Europe. The problem was no physics department wanted to accept me because physicists don't like going in these areas. They're not good in them themselves, so they're not ready to go into them. Even though it was obvious to all that there was a problem with physics faculties and medical physics departments in Europe, and that these were required. Nobody wanted to do it. But finally I found in the Charles University, Prague, which is one of the most prestigious in Europe, in the Department of Physics and Mathematics, okay, they had several streams, you know, they had particle physics, geophysics, they had nuclear physics, they get theoretical physics, they had all these streams. Finally, but they had another stream which was called Problems of Physics, which was essentially a department which tried to solve all the problems that the other departments like nuclear and particle and quantum didn't want to do anything about. And this department was ready to accept me because they realized what I was very lucky. There was a person there who said, Carmel, this is really important. We are facing a crisis in our faculty, in our Department of Physics, and it's really important for us. And thank God for that guy who realized the importance. He gave me the facility to do this. I had to do everything on my own because nobody knew anything. So essentially I was part of the Charles University of Prague, but essentially doing everything on my own. But I had a supervisor who was capable of telling me, Carmel, look, this is publishable material. This is not good enough. This is not good enough. Dump it, please, and get something better. I had that very good supervisor. The results now, I have about over 60 papers, re-education and training, strategic planning, and leadership in medical physics. I'm recognized as a global leader in education and training, leadership, role development, and in Europe and beyond. And these are all the achievements that I've done. Look, at the national front, I've set up the education and training in Malta, established the profession in a legal way, that was totally legally recognized. On the European front, I wrote practically all the syllabi in Europe, and even wrote for the IMPCB, the International Medical Physics Certification Board. I wrote all the syllabi. So medical physicists in Europe actually work on the syllabi that I led for them. I set up the European School for Medical Physics Experts in Prague. I set up several special interest groups in Europe. I represented the European Federation in many things. They're still asking me to do things, but I can't because it's not possible. I would like to do more things, but you have also to take care of your health in this world. But I managed to do a lot. I'm telling you this not to brag or something like this, but to tell you, look, it can be done, even if you're from a small country or a country without resources. Find a niche for yourself. Find a niche that you can be good at. Find a niche that if you don't have equipment, find something that will require the minimum amount of equipment and go for that. And this thinking of strategy is super important. When I did all this, I didn't realize, I hadn't even heard the expression strategic planning. So don't think that 25, 30 years ago I said I'm going to make a strategic plan, okay? I didn't even know the concept existed. But without knowing, that's what I was doing. I was saying, hey, what are my strengths and weaknesses? Where do I want to achieve? What is my vision for myself? What are the problems that are stopping the medical physics profession in Malta from developing? How can I solve them? So without knowing, I was doing something called strategic planning. Now today, you guys are more lucky because there are people like me and others and Kwan who have realized the importance of this, and we're making it clear for you. And this is some homework for you. Last. Consider your particular medical physics department. Imagine that you are the lead physicist. Even if you're not, you're the lead physicist. Describe the present situation of the department. Describe a desired future vision. How would you like the department to be in, say, 10 years' time? List 3 gaps between the present situation and your future. List the strengths and weaknesses, the opportunities and threats, and suggest strategies on how to reduce the gaps. So I'm giving you homework for yourself, okay? If you were the head of your department, okay? Analyze what the situation of your department is. Where would you like it to be in 5 years' time? What are the gaps from where it is now and how you'd like it to be in 5 years' time? How would you go about solving and bridging that gap? It's a very good exercise, extremely good exercise. It will change you. If you accept it, it will change you. Thank you for your attention.